All right. Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us for another fun-filled edition of the Real Estate Backstory. Today's Real Estate Backstory is brought to you by the number 50 and the letter K. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a second. Like our kids started their fall break today, and the weather's definitely
absolutely gorgeous.
It's really nice, but you live in Georgia more than likely. And so remember that we have like 17 seasons. This would be fake fall normally, because we've all done Halloween where we had to be in shorts because it was still, Satan's front porch outside. So anyway, so we're just going to kind of jump in this morning. So my name is Alan Rich. I'm the managing broker at Max One Realtor and Realty Partners.
My name is Ming Richardson. I am the compliance broker for Maximum One Realty and Realtor Partners.
We sure are glad that you joined us this morning. We hope that you start your week with us every week. We start this every Monday morning about 9 o'clock, and we think it's a great way for us to get going and also hopefully a great way for you to get going as well. So we're just going to kind of jump in, and we'd like to talk a little bit about the training coming up this next week. So tomorrow we have the Ultimate Buyer System. By the way, you can go to mx1training.com to sign up for any of our CE classes. So Tuesday is the Ultimate Buyer System. Lynn and Marcy are teaching that. On Wednesday, I'm teaching Determining Market Value. And basically what I do is I do a CMA, and I do a CMA in both in Georgia MLS as well in FMLS. We pull up properties. I'll show you the whole process for how we do it. I also pull up Cloud CMA and how to do that one properly as well. So please join me for that one if you'd like to learn more. That's one of those really needed skills that we have.
Well, what today also with appraisal value going a little wonky right now. We have gotten a lot of appraisal back that's below fair market value, and that's because sellers are pricing their home much higher than what it should be. So,
still based on the comps.
Right.
So
correct. So this will be a great class.
Yeah. On Thursday, also, we have Teresa McIntosh is going to be teaching how to become lender ready and leverage business credit. Boy, that's a smart one for
she is an awesome.
But for you to truly run your business like a business, understanding business credit and how that works, so important. Also on Thursday, we have our Tech Thursday, and Mark Jenkins is going to be going over Facebook ads for us on here. And then,
thank you, Mark.
Yeah, and on Friday, we've got contracts, offer and acceptance, basically a contracts 101 class coming through. So we hope that you'll join us on that as well. Also, this is our last week of the Tom Ferry Summit replays, and any of the offices go in, we'll replay those for you. This is the last week that we're going to be replaying the Success Summits live in class, but we are going to be, as part of the Tom Ferry Summit, there was over 50 breakout sessions. We have all those, and so we're in the process of going through them. We're going to start sharing some of those breakout sessions in the weeks coming up as well, kind of thing. So we kind of want, I was a little tongue in cheek when I talked about, being brought to you by the number 50, because, back when I was a kid, if it was fall break when I was a kid, all you had was Sesame Street and Captain Kangaroo, and that was about it. At the end of the day,
you're dating yourself.
I'm totally dating myself, but that's just kind of thing. But what struck me is we just got some information that Google shared some information about consumers and consumer buying preferences right now. And so what Google shared is that basically 50% of your database is in jeopardy. And also at the same time, 50% of everyone else's database is up for grab. So Google shared that its technology roadmap, and one of the insights that Google shared is that 54% of consumers are willing to try a new brand during the pandemic.
Yep.
This was historically a much lower number, and realtors already have kind of a challenge, because if you actually run the numbers, around 93% of the times, if you poll someone at a closing, a buyer or a seller at closing, they love us. Around 93% would use their agent again. And so, but the reality of it is they only do it about 15% of the time. So there's this massive disconnect from why at closing would you do business with me again, but when you actually come right around to it, we don't. And it's because we don't really keep in touch. So this is a really great chance for us to one, reach out to our existing database and really engage our folks. Realize that right now, kind of everybody's up for grabs, and half of your database is up for grabs to other realtors, but half of the other realtors database is up to grabs for you, kind of thing. And what we're seeing on the brokerage level is the folks who are out there busting it and getting it are having phenomenal years, the best years they've ever had. And so the business is out there to be had. But how can we do this? We can go out and share our apps. We all have branded apps, even if you're not with Maximum One, and you can use a Home Snap app, but get those folks secured and branded. Send them to your website to search for properties instead of going to Zillow, that kind of stuff. Automate listings and send them out. Anybody can do that. You can do it through Georgia MLS, you can do it through FMLS, or through, if you have the different databases, all those work as well. Call them, engage with them socially. Now's a really good time to do this. So we need to make sure that we're protecting our clients. And also at the same time, we need to make sure that we're taking advantage of the opportunity, because this is one of those, there's two sides of this coin.
Well, if you think about it, how many of you actually have tried new product via online during this pandemic? I can tell you, I probably tried a few things that I would not have time for it, or even thought about it. So same thing with real estate. Our business is about relationships. So if you don't develop this relationship, I can tell you right now, your client's going to go use someone else that has developed a relationship with them.
Yep, exactly. All right. So next, we kind of want to jump into the economy and where we get our next
third quarter financial projections.
Well, and I'd like to share. We've not been sharing our screen as much, but we would like to share our screen today on this, because I'd like to be able to kind of show you what we're seeing out there. And so here is our third quarter financial projections from all the major financial institutions, Goldman Sachs, all the way through. And we're looking at quarter three being a really, really strong quarter for the economy overall. And this is comparatively to, now that 25%, that's compared to where we've been. Okay, it doesn't mean that our economy is back to where it was, but compared to where we were, we knew that second quarter was going to look like just a trough, and it did. And overall, we've really been seeing that. And if you look at, for example, look at card payment data, you can see that we've been looking at a V-shaped recovery overall. And that's kind of what we've been seeing on a lot of sectors throughout our economy right now. Here in the United States, consumer spending, you can see that groceries is the one that's, because we're staying home more, we eat more vittles.
We all got COVID babies.
Yeah, we do kind of have that COVID baby thing going on. But, but you can see that a lot of industries took a hit and now have really kind of been moving back up again, very really, really strong at the same time. We're also seeing unemployment numbers come down. And while I don't think unemployment's great by any means, and so I'm not trying to share this because things are phenomenal, but when you compare it to the other recessions that we had in the past, the serious recessions, where unemployment numbers were higher than 9%, the Great Depression was 108 months, 30 months during the Great Recession. In the 80s, it was 19 months. This recession is about 4 months. So it's, we are looking at a little bit different economy than in past recessions, because this recession is highly tied to COVID. And as we see more fears abating, as we see people acting responsibly, and goodness, I know that we pray for a vaccine, something that sooner rather than later. Right. And I know that that's really going to help to drive things over at the same time. But what we have to be aware of is that the entire economy is not seeing the same thing. And that's where today's program is brought from the letter K. And so we're seeing that there are some industries that really are recovering actually to prior, not just post or pre-COVID, but better than pre-COVID. Take real estate, for example. Our real estate market is basically on fire. And if you look at technology, retail, software services, we really are on a high kick there. At the same time, if you have friends that are in travel, entertainment, hospitality, if you had folks that were working in the food service, in hospitality, that kind of stuff, they've taken it on the chin. Their market is not, the market for them is not the same thing. And I bring this up because it's very, there's a couple of points. One is it's very easy for us in the real estate world to be like, man, things are going good, because they really kind of are, overall business wise. We have the past 3 months have been 3 of our busiest months ever transaction wise. We've been very, very blessed in our industry to really see some massive growth. We have more buyers than we have sellers right now, which is causing price increases. So it's good for the sellers. We have really low interest rates, so it's good for the buyers. So things in our industry are very good, but it's very easy to forget that we have other friends out there that are having more of a difficult time. And so while on one hand, I do want to, celebrate our success, I also got to understand that may not be everyone else's success. The other side of this also, though, is that more millionaires are made in the down market. And so, the folks that are in travel, entertainment, hospitality, food services, you can't say that they don't have real estate needs. They do. There are going to be opportunities. Some of those folks will need to sell in order to capture their equity that they have in their properties right now. I don't wish that anyone has to sell for those kind of reasons. But one thing that we're going to talk a little bit more about is what's going on out there in the foreclosure or in the pre-foreclosure market, in the forbearance areas. And so, with any market, there are opportunities. And it's not just an opportunity to take advantage of anyone. I don't mean that in any way, shape, or form. But there are opportunities where you can help other people and also help your business at the same time. And so that's very important that we do that. Right now, total listings is down almost 40%.
That's huge.
Okay.
Really?
I mean, it really is. I mean, the number of listings we have in the market is right at, for the past week, are right at 39% less than last year. At the same time, overall nationwide, our median price point is 11% higher than last year, which is,
and this is why we're getting some of the appraisal issues, y'all.
Because 11% really is not sustainable for our industry. We can't do 11% month over month, year over year, without creating a bubble. So there's no way that we're going to be able to maintain this, and we shouldn't maintain this.
Well, the inflation rate is not that high, so therefore you can't adjust to that 11.1% based on demands.
Right.
It's just not going to work.
So we need to really be educating both our buyers and our sellers that this is the reason why we are seeing just the number of appraisal issues right now, because the market is way ahead of the appraisers. But the appraisers also know that this is not in all honesty, it's not realistic and it's not sustainable.
Right.
We can't run 11.1% year over year and continue to have that kind of price growth without creating some kind of a backlash on the other end. So for us, we need to make sure that we're communicating both to our sellers and to our buyers, because we have listings and people are throwing offers at us with no contingencies, like no inspection, no due diligence. I'll give you $5,000 over asking, the whole 9 yards. And that's just not realistic. It's not good for our industry, kind of thing.
Absolutely.
So you may also have seen where this past week that mortgage applications have finally started to decline. And they have, but they haven't, okay? And what I mean by that is, so overall mortgage application declined by about 2.5% for last week. I'm sorry, it's 13% from the week before. But these are national numbers. We had a hurricane come through. We had fires in the Midwest, And even with that, not only, yes, we were down 13% from the previous week, we were 30% higher than last year. Okay, 30%. So that means we had a third more buyers applying for mortgages than we had this same time last year.
Well, and that's because our fall, once again, is our summer,
Yeah.
so to speak. So it is to be expected because there were a lot of pinup
There's still there's still a lot of pent-up
Still are.
demand for it out there, kind of thing. And at the same time, last week, or I'm sorry, over the last month was the highest first-time buyers in our market ever. Okay, that to me was huge. First-time buyers rose. It looks like first-time buyers really ran in the market to really lock in mortgage rates. Mortgage rates are still under 2.87 is where they were running last week. And so we see a lot. And so we've seen more first-time buyers in our market than ever before. I mean, it's hard to fathom that, but we are seeing more millennials moving back into the housing, or starting to move into the housing market. And so because at the same time, we also got this other really interesting piece of advice, or not advice, information. Yeah, that for people that are 19 to 29, guess where most of those folks live? Do you know?
With their parents.
With mama and daddy. That's right.
Yeah.
And so now I went, I went off to college, like a lot of you, and then I tried moving back in with my parents.
It doesn't last long.
I love my mom. I love my dad. But yeah, that just wasn't, like once you move out, boy, life's tough trying to move back in. And so I think it's kind of interesting that we have at the same time as we have the highest number of first-time buyer mortgage applications, is also the same time that we have the highest number of 20 to 30-year-olds living with their parents at the same time. Because you might love your mama, but you don't want to live with your mama. And so what we want you to understand is that this is a prime market. If you target your business towards first-time buyers, towards millennial buyers, that these folks are in our marketplace heavy right now.
Absolutely.
My concern is that these folks are all going to be looking for starter homes, for the smaller places to kind of get started. That's where our first-time buyers tend to go. So we are seeing, whereas we saw a little bit more inventory in like condos and townhomes originally during COVID, we're not seeing that now. And because the condo townhome market is kind of like the starter home for a lot of our millennials and first-time buyers. And so, the small ranches, those things are getting gobbled up right now. So I just thought that was very, very interesting. At the same time, we're seeing mortgage credit availability drop. Well, it dropped almost 5% last month. And mortgage credit availability is one of those where, it basically comes from Mortgage Bankers Association. And when the mortgage companies feel pressure, they add overlays and they add restrictions, they raise credit scores, things like that. And so we had been seeing an improvement in the mortgage credit availability, but with the more and more, it's all based on risk for these guys.
Right.
And when you have that many first-time buyers moving into the market, they're going to start making mortgage availability a little bit harder. They're going to make sure that you're really ready to go. So advise your buyers that if they're applying, you really do need, can you get a 580? Yeah, they're out there, but it's tight. But you're going to pay through the nose. We're seeing 6s, 620s, 640s. We probably will continue to see more 620s and more 640s moving forward, kind of thing. There's still several lenders that won't do anything under a 640, and we kind of expect that to go through the fall the same kind of way. Because at the same time, we have a real opportunity out there, while we're talking about mortgage, is that right now we have about 1 million delinquent homeowners that haven't asked for forbearance. And the forbearance programs are out there for a reason. And that 1 million delinquent homeowners, those are people that are eligible for the forbearance programs, and they're behind at least 30 days in their mortgage, and they haven't reached out. the mortgage companies can't just automatically put your clients on a forbearance program. They have to reach out to them. They have to initiate this. We in the real estate industry, we need to be reaching out to our clients. We need to be reaching out on social media. We need to let folks know that these programs are legitimately there. Mm-hmm. The beauty of this is that it's for the homeowners to reach out. I don't ever think a homeowner should respond to anybody that calls them to speak to them about forbearance, because that in the majority of times, that's predatory. Those are people that are trying to take advantage of you. But if you as a homeowner call your mortgage company to talk about forbearance, that's a completely different story. Absolutely. You are the one who's initiating that. But we need to let folks know that you know, especially FHA, if you have clients that have an FHA, those for sure have a forbearance program already approved, kind of thing. And right now, of the million delinquent folks, 2/3 of those are FHA. And even if your client is on a conventional loan, the majority of those have forbearance programs where they can add that to the end of their mortgage, and not just move it back. So, you know, one of the things that we got to do is we want to get through this whole thing, where I don't want to see a big number of homes getting foreclosed. It's really bad for our industry. It's bad for property values. It's bad for our economy. It's bad for our friends. So for some folks, you know, they need to suck up their pride and go out there and get some forbearance to give them a few months of peace so that they can get themselves back on their feet. We in the real estate world need to be the voice of reason. We need to be the folks who's out there communicating this to our clients, kind of thing.
Absolutely.
On the builder side,
builder are ramping up construction to meet the high demand. So your home builder increased construction of single family in August as buyer continued to swarm at the new home market. The pace of, the pace of single family start last month reached its highest level since February, just right before COVID. So I'm sure you guys have seen a lot of new home construction, and let me just advise you that some of the policy for new home construction has changed. Make sure you read the guideline. And I hate to say this about anyone, but beware of LGI, because their policy is vastly different from your regular traditional D.R. Horton, night construction, and what have you.
Well, I mean, we have to legally, we're not saying not to use them. We do say check your P's and Q's, dot every I, cross every T with them, because they're a national builder, but they come from other states with different laws than we have here. Mm-hmm. And we've had them trying to take advantage of real estate agents, in our opinion, and they're not favorites of ours by any means, kind of thing. So, it's one of those double-edged swords. We really need the builders, because the builders, when they put new inventory in there, that starts the entire process. The folks who are going to move into that home, now their home comes on the market, and it just kind of starts the whole ball rolling, kind of thing. At the same time, we had builder confidence, which is soared to the all-time high. But at the same time, we have really rising material costs. Builder costs right now are up between 11 and 17%. And so that's getting passed on directly to the consumer. So we're seeing new construction get pricier and pricier, kind of thing.
And I'm sure you're going to have some client ask you, well, this was listed 6 months ago at this price. Well, guess what? The 6 month value prior does not hold at this point. Yep. So just understand that there are some changes in the new construction. Just make sure you're aware of all the changes.
Yep. And then also one other change in the construction world is that there's been a real shift away from multifamily into single family. Single family is kind of where it's at. We expect to see more and more suburbs and even rural neighborhoods popping up. That's really where the builders are heading right this minute. Less and less multifamily, though. So on a weird side note, seeing as it's fall and I wore my orange pumpkin shirt, which direction should your fan be in the fall and the winter, Ming?
I believe it's left.
It's clockwise. So this is a cool thing to share out to social media for your clients. In the winter, ceiling fans should be going clockwise, blowing the air up on low speed. So that's a great thing to share out there. So
What it does, if you think about it, heat rises. So you want to try and keep some of your heat down
hey.
to the confined space. So that's why you rotate your ceiling fan directions.
Yep. All right, and then NAI released the newest realtor safety data that came out, and some of it is startling and disturbing. You know, we had an agent just a couple of weeks ago that met a guy with a shotgun pointed at them.
Yeah.
We had an agent that met two guys in front of a house and had to beat them off, and did, thankfully, and they're arrested. But the thing is that, you know, we found, you know, so NAR polled and said, you know, when did you feel unsafe and how often was that? And so 31% of realtors felt unsafe during an open house and felt unsafe showing a home. Okay. That's a third of us that have felt that way, kind of thing. And we are a vastly female dominated industry. And so, you know, that worries me, kind of thing. You know, the next highest one at 27% was when they're meeting a client for the first time at a secluded property. This one right here has done the same thing. You know, like, oh yeah, I'm 5 miles and I'm down 5 miles down a dirt road inside a gate. I'm back here where they keep the chainsaws meeting a client. So we got to be smart about that. You know, because at the same time as, you know, that we shared that a third of us have been concerned during an open house, a third of us have been concerned during a showing. They also said, how over the past 12 months, you know, what percentage of you have met a new or prospective client alone at a secluded or a secluded property alone? 40% of us have. Okay. So almost half of us have met a client alone at a secluded property. Guys, this is the kind of stuff that keeps me up at night, kind of thing. So, you know, we've got to have some safety protocols in our industry for what do you do when you're going to meet a client alone? You know, for Ming, a lot of times she would call. You know, she would call me. She would have me on the phone. Sometimes she would call me and just drop her phone in her purse, kind of thing. You know, all the branch managers would be glad to be your buddy on that kind of stuff. But before we get into that part, the first thing I got to tell you is, if your spidey senses, excuse me, I didn't mean to spit that out, but if your spidey senses are going off, like if something feels creepy, if something feels off,
trust your instinct.
First
Always.
and foremost, by and large, believe yourself, okay? Because there's a reason that person feels creepy to you, okay? So be really wise about what you're doing. Watch out for these folks where it's really too good. Hey, I'm looking at a $500,000 house and I'm all cash, and yeah, I just called you out of the blue. Hey, can we go meet back here, you know, on some deserted property?
I know it sounds really odd. One of my questions to most clients is that, you know, I'm really excited about the opportunity, but could you tell me where you find me? How did you come across my name as my marketing data research? So when you ask that question, typically they'll tell you if it's an honest truth. So that's one thing that I do ask clients that I have never met. And, you know, use our office if you need to meet your client here.
Please.
You know, we'd rather you be safe than hear about you on the news.
So, yeah, I mean, what Ming brings up is really one of our favorite things, and that's have them meet you at our offices. All of our offices have space where you can meet a client, and we have our branch managers there. It's a safe space, and that's really important. You know, we're also seeing a real rise up in the number of agents that are carrying self-defense weapons, and this just doesn't mean firearms. They are up. But, you know, right now about 20% of us carry pepper spray. 15% of us are carrying a firearm. I do. 7% carry a pocket knife. And some folks just prefer not to say. But right now, about 45% of agents are carry some form of self-defense weapons. Yep. And I hate that we have to have this discussion, but I know that it's important that we do. So, you know, you have to, and it's a shame that we have to think these things out ahead of time, but you do. Okay, so put your big boy pants on, because this is how things are out here. You need to be really wise, and so if check your clients out beforehand. If they're all cash, ask for their proof
of
of
funds.
funds. Get pre-approved clients before you go out. Know them, bring them into the office.
Introduce them to your lender, so your lender can pull credit. And when they have a solid information on that client, it's pretty much, they're a client versus a phantom client.
Yeah. We also do tasers. Ming has a taser she carries around. We forgot to bring it in today. Sorry, but it's the sound that's scary more than anything. You hit it, and it scares the daylights out of you, kind of thing. But we just got to be really, really smart. What protocols do you have in place, and how are you going to keep yourself safe so that you can be sure that you can go back to your home and to your family? So that's all we have for this week. We really appreciate you. If we can be of any service, please call, text, smoke signals. We answer it all. So I hope that you guys have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much. Enjoy your Monday.
All right. Bye, y'all. All righty. All right. While we're in here, one thing I wanted to do before we left is, I'm sorry if you can't hear me. I wanted to see if anybody had any kind of questions for us. If there's anything that we can do.
Are you going to open up the Zoom chat line?
Well, I have Zoom chat right here. So,
okay.
So if you're on Zoom, and let's see, and Leslie, I see you on there. I'm sorry if you couldn't hear us. I'll try and figure out what's going on with that one. But if anybody has any questions, one thing we wanted to start doing was answering any kind of questions that anybody has, either on Workplace or on Zoom. If there's anything that we can do to serve you guys, if there's any kind of information that you'd like to know, just kind of wanted to throw it out there and say, hey, can we do anything for you? So I'm just kind of looking around, see if we can.
And thank y'all for attending. I hope this information is very useful to you.
So, all right. Well, if no one has anything.
Have a great day.
Zip it.
See you.